Welcome back, Earthworld Warriors, to another Realm Kast Tarkot and Bite-Size episode. I'm your host, the Mortal Kombat Phantom, and with me as always is my co-host, our lore master, Yanni. Welcome, Yanni.
Thank you, Phantom. Today we are going to be analyzing Mortal Kombat 1's, I can't believe I'm saying this, Megan Fox is Nitara trailer, as we break down any of the visuals and dialogue that we've seen in it as we search for hidden references and visual details that you may not have seen.
But before we begin, don't forget that you can enhance your Realm Kast experience by joining us on the Soul Stream, which is our live Mortal Kombat show where we engage with you, the audience, and you get to talk to our guests that come on the Realm Kast also. So be sure to like and subscribe to be notified whenever we go live.
And I always do want to preface this. This discussion will not include any details or information from the opening cinematic or beginning of Chapter 1's playthrough. There will be no spoilers. You can have, a full-on first time unspoiled experience of Mortal Kombat 1 even if you watch this. I think that we should actually, even before we go into the trailer itself, actually discuss her bio, which did answer some questions that we had even while watching the trailer.
Yeah, let's do it.
Nitara is specifically stated to be the heroine of Viternus. Nitara's race of vampires hails from the dark and desolate realm, I almost said room, of Viternus. To survive, they evolved the ability to feed on the blood of other creatures. The Viturnians thrived, building a great society, but as their comfort grew, so did their short-sightedness. They overfed on Viternus' creatures, disrupting the natural order. They now starve as it collapses. It is Nitara's solemn obligation to deliver her people from hunger and save her race. Viternus must survive.
Viternus is back.
Viternus is back.
Yeah, it's a big question we had when we first watched this, if Viternus was Outworld again. Because
that was specifically because of the actual, I think, title, or no, the description in the video said Vampire of Outworld. And that was clearly a mistake, which has been confirmed by this bio, as well as other sources. So, good to see that. Very nice to see Viternus is back. One of the things that we have been asking for all these years is realms to come into play other than Outworld, Earthrealm, and the Netherrealm.
So, if this being the case, is this Nitara different than the 3D era's Nitara, the before Mortal Kombat 1, the old era?
Well, in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, which is where her initial appearance was made, she firstly most certainly looked different than she does now. The only real continuation I have seen with her design, really, is her wings and perhaps one other part of her design, which I will come back to as we go through the trailer itself. But in terms of lore, despite Viternus returning, she is quite different.
Just because it's Megan Fox? Is that what you mean?
Well, no. I'm not sure if Megan Fox actually had any effect on her lore, but who knows?
All right, so right away we get to see that same scene we saw from the Lin Kuei trailer of Scorpion and Smoke and Sub-Zero all climbing up the wall. The mysterious wall that we don't really know for sure where it's heading, but we had some theories in our Lin Kuei trailer breakdown. So if you're interested in that, please go back and rewatch that video, because each of these trailers we've done a full breakdown on, and there's a lot of stuff happening that we've kind of analyzed deeply and gone deep into the lore here. So definitely worth a watch. But this little clip, it kind of had a little teaser at San Diego Comic-Con, and there's a lot of buzz about it, a lot of people talking about it. And so at this point, finally, I think we can bring it up, because it's no longer really a spoiler, I guess. It's something that
officially,
we know for sure.
Yeah. At least this section of that.
Yeah. So at San Diego Comic-Con, they showed this scene. They showed them, them getting to the top, and then you heard that banshee bat-like cry of Nitara, but you never saw anything. And the speculations just ran wild. Everybody's like, oh, Nitara's confirmed. Even though there was no confirmation, this is your confirmation. Nitara's here, Yanni.
Well, actually, just touching on the fact that you mentioned the Lin Kuei trailer, it's funny because when we saw the Lin Kuei trailer, they did not show us Smoke climbing the wall with them. We only saw Sub-Zero and Scorpion climbing, and then later saw, after he was revealed, him floating to the top in his little smoke tornado thing. Based on the way they've done this trailer, and just, logically, he would most likely be beating Nitara in his fight. This could be a part of his chapter. It could be his fight. I don't know if there's chapters in the way that it classically is now in the NRS era, but maybe he beats Nitara, maybe not. Maybe he escapes and rises back to the top. But what we do see for sure is that he does make it to the top, despite having been knocked down by Nitara.
Yeah. I didn't even put that together, but yeah, that shows more of how these scenes can be cut together in a way that we didn't really expect.
Yeah, as we've been saying this whole time, it's all kind of like misdirection, trying to mislead us into thinking that this might happen here, or this might happen to this character, etc., etc. So it's cool to see that. And I mean, I the reason that clicked for me is because I've watched the Lin Kuei trailer about 45,000 times at this point.
Yeah. All right, Megan Fox is Nitara. I got so much hate for laughing about this during the trailer reveal, and
you deserved it. You deserved it.
The thing is, I don't hate Megan Fox. I just don't care about Megan Fox. So, the inclusion of Megan Fox as Nitara, or even the inclusion of Megan Fox in Mortal Kombat, I think kind of spans from a lot of fan petitions and fan desire to see Megan Fox in Mortal Kombat, but that was usually geared towards having Megan Fox play Katana in Mortal Kombat.
Was it Katana? Because I don't remember that. I remember something, but I don't know if it was Katana. So
yeah, for some reason, a lot of fans really wanted her to play Katana, which I could see it. She has a similar look to Katana from the 2D era, and even what they kind of did with her in later eras. So I can see Megan Fox playing a decent Katana. But when I was looking this up, I actually found an interesting article where the Mortal Kombat movie producer Todd Garner actually made a comment about why Megan Fox wasn't in Mortal Kombat playing Katana in Mortal Kombat, the newer reboot era of the Mortal Kombat movies.
What did he say?
He says, "We only have people who can actually fight. ... You'll see." So,
I mean, that's not really a knock on Megan Fox. That just sounds like he wanted to bring in, proper martial artists and stunt actors and such.
But I think Megan Fox could play a stunty role, and I could see her playing. I don't know. I could see her playing Katana because, a lot of actors end up having stunt doubles come in for those stunt heavy roles, but she tends to try to do stuff. So
think of it this way: Hiroyuki Sanada and Joe Taslim, Max Huang. Just examples, non-exhaustive list, and then Megan Fox. For me, those first few are full on into martial arts in some vein.
Yeah.
But Megan Fox, it's not her primary focus, right?
Well, either way, Megan Fox has finally made it into Mortal Kombat, just not what everybody wanted. But I mean, people are very happy.
I think it's a better choice, actually. I think yes. Looking at her face.
Well,
I think it's great.
She makes a comment here. She says,
I really like her. She's a vampire, which obviously resonates for whatever.
That she gets to play a vampire, and for whatever reason that resonates with her. I mean, it's very highly publicized right now that Megan Fox and her boyfriend like to participate in ritualistic blood drinking and stuff like that. So I think
is that actually confirmed?
Yeah, oh yeah, she talks about it all the time.
Okay.
They like to drink
Interesting
blood.
that she doesn't go into more detail about that on the you can see her if that is the case, you can see her maybe as if comparing it to that, but then choosing not to bring it up, I think.
Yeah. She's kind of being cheeky about it too. She's like, for whatever reason, that resonates with me. Yeah, it's because you love to drink blood. Okay.
That's it's maybe why they chose her for Nitara. It's so random.
It's possible even why that might be why she accepted it too.
Possibly.
Yeah. So, what do you think, Yanni? Megan Fox is Nitara. Is that what you've always wanted?
I mean, I didn't see it coming, and so far, I think in terms of design, Nitara has an amazing design. I actually like her design more than her original design, and that's saying something considering how much I love the 3D era designs.
She fits, but she looks different enough. Yeah.
My only issue is the hair, And not because I know I've seen some people saying, "Oh yeah, I know they gave her red hair. She's just a ripoff of Scarlet now." And I'm like, no. I'm all for more redheads in Mortal Kombat. In fact, you don't see many redheads in most games and shows and movies nowadays, at least anyway. But her hair has like a little weird tuft, and I was joking, everybody with Phantom that when we were going to do this analysis that we should do our hair the same way.
Oh, that's right, you wanted to do that. I completely forgot.
I don't see why that was a design. Like everything looks amazing to me, but the hair just looks silly.
Well, maybe it's not her hair, Yanni. Maybe it's her skull, and that's how her hair falls on her vampiristic skull.
You know what? Maybe that could actually be it. We'll know when we see a fatal blow on her head.
Yeah.
I personally don't think that's the case, because that's a very weird sort of head choice. But and it's more to do with that sort of headband tiara kind of thing that she's wearing on her head. Could be just a continuation of that, and then it somehow leads to her hair being spiked up in one prominent spike. But
now.
But no, I mean, in terms of design, looks great, and I don't know. I'm assuming it is the case, but I don't know if the shrieking is actually Megan Fox or not. But yeah, I am assuming that is the case, and if the shrieking is Megan Fox, sounds good to me.
Oh, you mean the if she's doing the yelling herself too?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit later too when we get into her vocal lines. But I think she probably did scream.
Yeah, so we do see her biting Gris, and not just once, but twice. I've been looking at this scene, and I'm trying to figure out where it is. In fact, at first, I had to keep looking back to see who it was. Then I saw the blue eye. Then I saw the I think the tattoo, and possibly a different scene actually. But then also you can sort of see the construct lines on his head. So I don't know where this is. Maybe there's a brief second where you can potentially tell where it is. It looks like there's mountains. Maybe it is the same scene as where they've just climbed up. It's called the Ying Fortress, and that actually was quite interesting to me as well, because on the actual status where it was confirmed to be the Ying Fortress, the bio is, the Ying's dynasty's great riches were so well hidden they were forgotten to history. Recently rediscovered, they are now being pillaged. Heavy snowfall keeps the fortress shrouded from all but the most daring intruders, but the bold are rewarded with dawn's serene glow. Now, that's interesting to me for a couple of reasons. One, we do have a specific arena that you and I have mentioned in previous analyses, and that's the treasury.
Yeah.
So this says the great riches were so well hidden, they were forgotten, recently rediscovered, they are now being pillaged. So this could be the Ying treasury, or the Ying lost treasury, or something like that, in terms of an arena name. And that's where I think we see Rain in the Lin Kuei reveal trailer.
Right, yeah, that's right.
He says, Liu Kang sent you to learn our secrets, right? So maybe that's where he is. Maybe they are pillaging the Ying dynasty's lost treasure. We've had this confirmation, and why is Nitara there? Is she potentially protecting the, Rain, possibly, while he's pillaging the treasury? Is it even related to that? Is it potentially related to that voice which says, the Lin Kuei, we've been expecting you, who I think could be Ermac, because he says we. I don't know. There's a lot of things here that it's interesting to look back on, and that's kind of why I like that we're doing all these trailer analyses now, when we have almost everything, but also have almost nothing at the same time.
Right.
She comes from this weird realm. She is a type of vampire creature. She's evil.
So in this scene, we see her scratch herself and basically play with the blood. We said this during our reveal trailer, our reaction to the reveal. Does she have blood magic all of a sudden? Has she ever had blood magic, Yanni?
No. She was just considered to be a vampire. I think that blood magic addition was as a result of Scarlet, and actually stemmed from the MKX prequel comics, which were written by Sean Kittleson, and I think comic had a bit of a hand in that. I'm not 100% sure. Sorry if you ever watched this. But that's sort of where blood magic really came into play, because if you remember, Scarlet's creation didn't really have any mention of blood magic in MK9. She was just a warrior created from the countless... Yeah, a construct, exactly, made from the blood of fallen warriors. enemies of Shao Kahn. So this is a recent addition, and I think that it's a sort of way to replace Scarlet for this game, which to me is very sad. Scarlet's one of my top 5 characters for Mortal Kombat, but if it means we get Nitara, I'm happy. It's just, and it is a sort of logical way to take Nitara's abilities, you know?
Yeah, but the gameplay is so different. Like, I'm surprised. I mean, it seems like a way to give Nitara more, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And if anything, I would compare it more to less MK11 Scarlet, more MK9 Scarlet. From what we're going to see in this trailer with her combat style. Because Scarlet was made to be more of a mage in MK11, but we do see that Nitara is quite hands-on in this. She might be using blood magic and, you know, scratching herself with her claws and then creating a bowl of blood. And that's, to me, potentially a very clear indication that she's going to be throwing like blood bowls and such, as we saw with Scarlet. Could be wrong, but that's what I'm assuming with her moveset. One other thing that we see in this specific scene is that she seems to have... Okay, firstly, actually, her armor. Her armor, to me, is quite interesting because it does actually carry sort of the colors of General Shao, once again. As well as the style, potentially. Because if you look at her shoulders and even on the waist, it looks... I don't know what that is, but it's kind of like... It's got tusks. I don't know if they're horns or tusks or what. What do you think?
To me, it has like a gothic or like a geeker style to it. The guy that made the design for Alien, it has that similar look to it, which, you know, it's the fact that Nitara is a vampire in Mortal Kombat, giving her a more gothic style to her makes a lot of sense, I think. And I don't see Khan Warrior so much as I see gothic influence in her design this time, which I think it works really well for her. I love her design in this game.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, to me, I'm just associating it in terms of colors and potentially with the skull emblems on her shoulders. But you are very correct. It does look very, I don't know, gothic, geeker inspired. And actually, funny enough that you mentioned gothic, because her alt in the 3D era was pretty much a black, I mean, I'm just going to say bikini kind of armor kind of thing. But then with sort of brown leather on top. And then her face was in full of white paint. It was a very sort of gothic look to her. Her hair was black in this, when I think her primary, I always associated with brown, dark brown, but it could have been black. Even her wings were darker colored. Or that is just potentially as a result of the contrast, you know, looking different with the red outfit in her primary. But there's definitely, you know, some things carried forward and some things dropped entirely here. And I personally, as much as I love the 3D era designs, this is a great direction to take Nitara in.
Yeah.
So back to the crystal. The crystal itself is very interesting to see because we don't know 100% what it is, but this is potentially the other consistent continuation that we've seen from her design from the 3D era. It's on her waist, and this is the, as I say, consistent part between her old design and her new design, but it's also a bit different because in her old design, she actually carried a gemstone around her neck, a necklace. Now, she seems to have a crystal, as we're seeing, on her waist. Why is that crystal important? Because her species, the vampires, the Moroi, had gemstones which allowed them to traverse the realms. They'd been using this for ages, at least in the previous timeline, to find blood. So they would even go to Earthrealm, for example, which, you know, I would assume led to rumors of vampires and such, right? And so I think that this could potentially be her travel gemstone that her species may have, or she might be the only one who has it because she's trying to save their realm or something. It could be the Moroi gemstone, or it could be what is also known as a portal sphere. But I don't know if that is going to be the case because there is no real need for a portal sphere based on the bio that we're seeing here. Now, a portal sphere in the previous timelines was an orb which would signify the merging of a realm to Outworld, for example. To a realm to another realm. But in her case, she was searching for the orb which bound her realm, Viternus, to Shao Kahn's realm, Outworld, because it was annexed into his realm, right? So that was the entire point of her appearance, really, in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, because she was searching for a way to find the orb and then destroy the orb so that she could set her realm free. Now, whether or not this could be it, I don't think this is it specifically. One, for the reason I already said, that maybe, according to her bio, her realm has not been merged with Outworld. But two, because of an upcoming scene. I think that this is most likely the travel gemstone that I mentioned, that the Moroi have. So we actually see her in the Living Forest now. And this actually relates, once again, to the gemstone that I just mentioned, because we actually see her holding something in her hands. There's a lot of interesting things about this scene. Now, firstly, you get a better look at the shoulder or bicep armor that I mentioned, and it does look very skull-like here, if you see what I'm talking about.
Almost Khan-like.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see what you mean now.
Yeah, that's why I had that sort of influence on her design in my mind. So, and it would make sense if she is going to be one of the villains, which it very much does look like she is. But more importantly for now is that thing in her hands, which looks a bit kind of like a heart in terms of shape, but also looks like a gem or a gemstone, right? It could be blood, could be solidified blood or crystallized blood. It could be a gemstone. I'm not sure. So it could again be her Moroi travel stone, gemstone, or again potentially a portal sphere. This time it's just not in the shape of an orb, or it could just be a character. This might not even be part of the story. This could just be one of her character interactions as she's walking into a fight in versus mode and such. Because the reason I say that is, if you notice, as this scene begins, you might see a little head behind her waist, and that person is wearing sunglasses. Now, who do we know who wears sunglasses in Mortal Kombat?
Johnny.
Other than Johnny Cage.
Darius.
Darius. Yeah. And that is Darius behind her. So either this is just a character interaction before a fight and it has nothing to do with the story, or this is part of the story and Darius is involved in the story in some manner.
You're still on that, aren't you?
I'm still on that. I still maintain it. I guarantee you that certain characters, Serena, for example, will be integral to the story.
I'm believing it more and more the more we see stuff like this, honestly.
But yeah, so I don't know. Like, I think that this could have been done once again in a way to misdirect us, because we do actually see in the next scene Ashra and Nitara fighting, right? And that's in the Living Forest, and I think you see her sort of limping, holding her arm, kind of. And that's right after we get a better look at her chewing on Garrus's neck. So poor Garrus.
So that's interesting, because there's two different scenes of Garrus getting bit. One is at 36 seconds, and the other one is earlier on. I'm wondering if they just could be possibly fatalities or something like that. I don't know.
I don't think so, purely because she looks up as if somebody is intruding while she's fighting him, I think that this is part of the story, and contrary to what I said earlier about it possibly being the Ying Fortress, I think it's either the Hanging Gardens or the Wuxi Academy because of the cherry blossoms. You can see the pink sort of branches in the background.
Have a watch of both of these put together and leave in the comments. Let us know what you think. Do you think what is happening? Why is Garrus getting attacked in this manner? Leave a comment below and let us know.
So we're about to see the scene that I mentioned, and I just want you to bear in mind that she is holding her arm here as she's injured.
I'll steal Datusha and kill you with it. You are welcome to try.
Honestly, I'm even going to skip Ashra for 1 second.
Okay.
We get our first look at Story Quan Chi, our first proper look in that scene.
Where was that?
That was at... Hold on. 53 seconds.
Oh, I didn't even see him there. He's standing in the background.
And he's using sorcery. He seems to be holding open a portal or creating a portal or something, while Ashra and Nitara fight in the living forest. So that's our first indication that Quan Chi is really, properly there. And I say this in a way where I know we've already addressed that he's in the Banished trailer. Like, I'm pretty sure that who we saw being sort of kidnapped by the heroes was Quan Chi. But this is our first clear look at Quan Chi in the story of the game. We've been getting a lot of green imagery with the living forest, and then also with the corrupted forest, which leads me back to the arena discussion here. So we see Nitara injured in the scene previously. We see Nitara fighting Ashra here. We see Nitara protecting, from what it looks like, Quan Chi. Unless it's the other way round. Unless maybe Ashra is actually the one protecting Quan Chi, and this is before she's left his services, right? But judging by the fact that she has the Datusha, and also judging by the fact that she's in the living forest, which is where we see her in the Banished trailer link up with Baraka, Reptile, Kung Lao, Kenshi, and Johnny, I think that she is part of the good guys here, and they are trying to stop Quan Chi, because if you also look back to the Banished trailer, we see a green skull.
Yep, and I remember when we broke down the Banished trailer, that was a big thing too. We were like, wait a second, that's a Quan Chi confirmation, because they tricked you into thinking that it was Havoc, but Havoc doesn't have any green skulls. Yeah.
Yes. So, is this part of the same scene? Does Ashra potentially beat Nitara, and that's why she's holding her arm as if she's limping away? Is Nitara going to be the jobber in replacement of Reptile and Baraka this time? I really do hope that the jobbing characters actually get some wins too. I really hope that they fix that up. But I think that this all is linked. And then the fact that we're seeing the living forest and then also the corrupted forest might indicate that Quan Chi is successful in whatever he's doing right now, which could potentially be corrupting the living forest.
Yeah, in the original timeline too, the what was it called?
The living forest. That was it.
The living forest. So it used to be known as the Smiling Forest during Edenia era, and then after the merger of Outworld, it became the living forest. It became basically corrupted in the same manner.
You are right, except actually I think it was called the Laughing Forest rather than the Smiling Forest.
That's
and
right.
That came up in the comics. And
was it actually the Mortal Kombat X comics or Malibu?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I think it was the Malibu comics, to be honest. I do have a... This is the kind of question I would ask Tabmock, for example. He loves the comics. But they were a part of Edenia rather than Outworld, which is kind of interesting to think about. And the fact now that we're seeing Quan Chi using his magic, and then also the corrupted forest is most certainly showing off a lot of green imagery, whether it's soulfire or whatever you want to call it, sorcery, etc.
Yeah.
I think that he is the cause of this. And the fact that Nitara is fighting Ashra in both the living forest and the corrupted forest in this trailer makes me think that we're going to see the two sides of the living forest, and actually see the living forest come into, basically be birthed into this timeline, the living forest that we know about.
It's cool too, because the corrupted forest isn't anything that was revealed to us from the beginning. It's something that was revealed later. So I remember during the first few reveal trailers, we saw the living forest here, and we're like, oh, that's really cool. It's the living forest, but it's not dark and corrupted. And then later they just kind of dropped it and sprinkled it in there, like, oh, it's corrupted too. And yeah, like you said, this could be what happens to it. That could be part of the story here. And that's cool to me. I'm excited to see that transition.
What's actually even cooler to me is that they count as two separate arenas. It's not just toggleable between living and corrupted. You get the living forest with its own day and storm variations, and then you get the corrupted forest with its own night and day variations. So is it maybe not the same arena, or is it just, at different points in time, and they decided, hey, let's give them multiple versions of the same arena, which I think is a pretty cool decision.
Oh yeah.
So The question here now is, seeing as we're seeing Quan Chi very involved here, opening a portal, potentially corrupting the living forest, are we seeing Outworld falling apart? Are we seeing an invasion of Outworld?
It's weird because I think we're actually seeing a transition of Outworld from Liu Kang's new era into something more aligned with the dark era of the original Mortal Kombat series.
Mm-hmm. It's like what Gareth said. Your vision of this timeline may already be compromised.
Yeah, and
we could be seeing that
compromise. Yeah.
I'll steal Datusha and kill you with it.
You are welcome to try.
We're seeing Nitara and Ashra with a character dialogue at the beginning, which says, Nitara says, I'll steal Datusha and kill you with it. And Ashra says, you are welcome to try. So, with the past timeline, we've seen that Datusha is the one natural predator of the Moroi, of the vampires. It feeds on vampire blood. It literally tricks Ashra into thinking that she's purifying herself while she's killing demons and such. But in reality, it's just hungering, or really thirsting, for vampire blood. So we're also seeing in the past timeline that Ashra pretty much was culling the vampire population, which led to Nitara having to return in Armageddon, even though she had managed to save her realm from Outworld. So now we don't have any indication that Nitara's race are under threat in this manner. But we have been confirmed that it is Datusha, and we have been confirmed that Nitara is trying to potentially take it away from her, unless it's just a random interaction. But then if that's the case, does Nitara not understand that she could potentially be corrupted by the vampire thirsting dagger herself, as we've seen with Cahill in the previous timeline?
And who was Cahill?
Cahill was the previous owner of the Datusha, who, he was the last wielder who apparently almost made it into the game and was pretty much being controlled by the Datusha, killing his own species. But as he managed to break free of the mind control, went into the Netherrealm and committed harakiri, which is how the Datusha actually became stranded in Hell, and how Ashra came upon it, leading to her species, Nitara's species being hunted, and the rivalry between Ashra and Nitara.
You know, I like a lot the carryover into this deep lore that we're seeing so far with the introduction of Ashra and Nitara. And even, having Serena in there too, and Quan Chi. Like, this is some deep 3D Arrow lore that's getting sprinkled into Mortal Kombat 1 in ways that I did not expect with the new era.
With slight adjustments, in a way which really makes everything fit together. And I think that's what we've been asking for with the lore. Bring back those little things, connect them a bit more. Don't just ignore them and pretend they never existed, because those little bits of lore are the things about Mortal Kombat's lore that we love. All those small... That's one of the reasons Serena is one of my favorite characters. She might be a minor character, but all of her background relates to multiple other characters, which then relates to the overarching plot line of Mortal Kombat itself. And that's what we're seeing here. And that's why I keep saying, might not be happy with the previous storylines of, let's just say, MK11 and MKX, but it's clear that the writer, Dominic, and potentially anybody else helping him out, and obviously Ed Boon, I'm assuming too, as creative director, they know what they're doing, in the sense that they have the knowledge. They are trying to bring these things back. If you can't even tell that from just the roster itself, this is a clear statement to the fans that they are listening and that they know what they're doing. Or I'm not going to say know what they're doing. I'm not saying that you don't know either, but I think it's more fair to say that you can see that those involved in writing the story itself have made sure to try and show that they are passionate about the Mortal Kombat lore and are trying to bring back those little things that we all love.
Yeah, one of the things we were worried about with Mortal Kombat 1, and I know the game hasn't come out yet, so I can't fully criticize it in any way, but one of the things we worried about with Mortal Kombat 1 was that this is a complete reboot, and we're losing everything that we loved about Mortal Kombat. But with trailers like this and kind of these deep dives that we've been doing so far, it looks more like they've taken that ability and used it to write a different story that's just as cohesive and comprehensive as the original lore was. So yes, this is a new Mortal Kombat lore, but it doesn't mean everything that we liked about the old lore is gone. So and game's coming out in 5 days, so, or as at the time of this recording, so who knows what it's going to be like at the end, but so far this stuff kind of gets me excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and just the fact that it's the 3D era characters with their lore being sprinkled in is perfect for me. This is literally the game I've been asking for how many years at this point,
Oh, I know.
And
Since we started Realm Kast, you've been like, I wish we had Mortal Kombat 3D characters and Conquest. And I was like, honey,
I will say, regarding the Conquest, I was hoping for a more of a blend of, let's say, Deception and even MK11's Crypt mode. Because I as much as I didn't like the sort of RNG to the Crypt in MK11 with how you could go to a chest and open it and it would be something different from somebody else's game, I preferred the old style where it was like, that Crypt Coffin AB was going, or A7 was going to be Sub-Zero's cover art or something like that. You know what I mean? I preferred that, but I also really liked the sort of RPG style, the third-person RPG style of the Crypt in MK11, and that's why I think with what we've seen of Invasion Mode, I think it's a great idea, and I'm all for board games and such. Without going too far into this is all officially revealed stuff, but I still don't want to spoil things for people. I still think that it could have been more of a take on MK11's in this direction too, though. But regardless,
like a Deception mode.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, that's pretty much what I was really hoping for. But at the same time, it is still cool to see what is going to be possible with Invasion Mode. But one thing we have seen in her bio is that the Veternians have overfed. They have gone so far with their feeding that they have disrupted the natural order and they are now starving. And it's her obligation to save her race from hunger. It could be possible that Nitara is helping Quan Chi so that maybe her species can potentially relocate to Outworld, and or maybe treating Outworld citizens as a new food source.
Yeah, makes sense. Could be farming, and that could be why she has a possible portal stone, or why she's in Outworld at all, because she's out, like you said, she's their last hope to find a food source.
You Outworlders believe yourselves so superior.
I want to say Nitara, but this one sounds more like Megan Fox to me, where she says, "You Outworlders believe yourselves so superior," and I'm wondering if there's supposed to be effects on that or not, because it does sound different to the previous voice line that we just heard.
During our reaction trailer, I laughed at this one, and we did have a good comment. I don't remember who made the comment. I wish I had it so I could give them credit, but they're like, there's no need to laugh at that because it's obviously a recording just for this trailer.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure they probably set up a booth and were like, hey, say your line. And there's no effects on it either. So
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. To give her credit, that was probably for this. It definitely sounded like Megan Fox saying the line than Nitara though. And, that goes to show how good voice acting and directing, as well as the effects that they're adding to these characters, can take it. As we saw with our previous interview with Jameson Price, he did an Ermac line for us, and it sounded really cool because Jameson Price is an amazing voice actor. But then after he finished, he said, but it sounds different whenever they put in the game because they add on all those effects and stuff to make it Ermac, this all-encompassing souls coming out of one mouth. And I was thinking about like, that's a great point. And we hear Megan doing this line, but it's going to be different than how Nitara does it when we finally hear it.
Exactly.
In the game.
And actually, just before you move on, do you want to tell our listeners who might not be aware about our intro?
Oh, yes. So if you do subscribe to the Realm Kast and you listen to us, or the Realm Kast, the actual podcast, not these bite-sized episodes, they come out, and at the beginning of every episode, you hear the voice saying, "Welcome to the Realm Kast." That voice is actually Jameson Price, who also did the announcer voice for the past Mortal Kombat games. and he will be playing Ermac in this upcoming Mortal Kombat 1 game again. So it's
very kind
awesome.
of him to record that for us, or to allow us to use his voice like that. That's really cool of him. And it's every time I hear it, I'm just like, yeah, this is so boss.
Same. Yeah. So if you're not subscribed to the Realm Kast, be sure to do that. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and of course on YouTube, where we release those episodes in video format for everybody who enjoy.
You Outworlders believe yourselves so superior.
I think it's cool to actually maybe focus on the line itself. You Outworlders believe yourselves so superior. Maybe she's also not so fond of Outworlders. Why, though? Well, because we do actually kind of... I think we've even commented on this. We've seen a bit of arrogance from some of the Outworld characters already, right?
Yeah, I guess so. The scene in the last trailer that we analyzed, the Rulers of Outworld, you see Kitana Melina, and Kitana kind of almost bows a little bit towards Fire God Liu Kang showing up in her lands, while Melina just looks down her nose at him. And
just like Bihan.
yeah. And same thing with Shao Kahn, and referring to Fire God Liu Kang, the god who reset all of time, doesn't want to be Liu Kang's lapdog. And so we have seen a lot of arrogance from Outworlders so far. So
Melina, Shao, Tanya, even to an extent, technically from Sindel as well, although not from Kitana. Now that I think about it, but
I haven't seen anything.
I'm wondering about that.
Yeah, I think Kitana's a Earthrealmer supporter, possibly. More humble, it seems, in this time.
Yeah, a lot more humble, I would say. And we kind of see that in both her and Melina's bios, I think, where people say that they want the more steady hand of Kitana over Melina as the ruler, as the eventual replacement heiress to Sindel, which I still maintain is kind of ridiculous because Edenians live for thousands and thousands of years. But one thing that you did just make me wonder is, are the characters aware that Liu Kang has restarted time? Or is this something that he keeps to himself, or within just him and Garrus? You know what I mean?
If I were Liu Kang, I wouldn't tell anybody, because you have characters like Shao Kahn that would say, oh wait, there's an hourglass that can control all of time.
Don't you mean General Shao? Sorry, I had to do it.
Yeah, but exactly. You have all these characters that have certain aspirations, and you know how that would go if they found out that you had the ability to control time. But at the same time, Raiden never got really much respect from Shao Kahn either.
Anyone?
So,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
So I don't know. I probably not. Nobody knows. I'm assuming that he reset all of time.
Yeah.
But as far as Outworlders' arrogance, so you have this Outworld culture, and so far everything we've seen with Outworld has been very peaceful. Everybody's happy. They possibly could have a reason to be as arrogant as they are, because they might be achieving things that other realms aren't.
That is very true. I do wonder about that, and we have already seen that certain realms, seem to be tied to Outworld. So maybe they have continued with this sort of trend of absorbing other realms, possibly, but in a way where maybe it's a lot more
peaceful,
cooperative, peaceful. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, we're seeing Outworld and Edenia. We've seen already Nitara, possibly. I'm wondering already if Viternus is like that. Maybe even, I know I mentioned that I think that the Sado realm, the Order realm, has taken over Chaos realm, potentially by force, but maybe even the Chaos realm has been absorbed by Outworld, although I do maintain that it's most likely Sado in a much less peaceful fashion.
And you mentioned Edenia being part of Outworld now. There doesn't seem to be any kind of hard feelings towards that.
Exactly, yeah.
We were kind of surprised at first when we first learned that Edenia was already part of Outworld, because everybody is happy and everybody's, wearing their dragon masks and playing drums and stuff.
Happy Shokan, yeah.
Yeah, this is something that is accepted and welcome, rather than in the past timeline where you had people literally not wanting to be there anymore. And so, this is a very different Outworld than what we're used to. And Quan Chi, if anything, like we said earlier, could be restoring the balance and making Outworld the Outworld that we know again, making Outworld great again.
This arena, I mentioned it in our previous trailer, and Phantom, you told me, nah, we have not seen this before. I actually think we have seen it before, and that was within the Banished trailer. And I also have a very good reason to believe that is the case now. So, first,
wait, oh, that's right. At the beginning of the
Yes.
Banished trailer.
yes, where Reptile is walking and the heroes, we call them, are captured, imprisoned. This has been revealed, or at least this one in this trailer specifically, has been revealed to be the Flesh Pits. The Flesh Pits return. Shang Tsung's Flesh Pits, which... firstly, before I go into what I was thinking to say, it's been confirmed that their toggleable day-night setting, as we're calling them, is experiments on and experiments off, which is why I believe this is the same area that Reptile is walking in his reveal trailer.
Wait, so this particular arena doesn't have like a day and night, it just has a experiments on or experiments off?
Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
Very right. And the bio of this arena is quite interesting as well. It says, hidden from prying eyes, here Shang Tsung pursues his true vocation, the merger of science and dark magic to achieve mastery over death. The experiments below were never meant to be seen by the faint of heart. Active or not, they are truly an abomination to behold. And speaking of abominations, look at the right of this image, the screen on the screen.
Yeah.
Who does that look like to you?
It doesn't look like anybody to me, but I
No,
know. who you're
does it
gonna
not
say.
remind you of somebody?
You can't go ahead, say what you're gonna say, and I'll shoot it.
I'm not
down.
saying it's him. I'm definitely not saying it's him. But this really leads me to believe that I'm even more sure than I was previously that Meat will somehow return in this game in some fashion, whether it's as a cameo, whether it's as a cameo fighter. I'm distinguishing between the two, as in maybe he just appears in the story. Maybe even as a playable fighter. I don't know. But to me, that is very reminiscent of Meat. And I know it's just a corpse with experiments and such, but that's exactly what Meat is.
Any corpse is Meat, in your opinion. As we went, like, if you guys haven't watched our Kotal Khan is Meat episode of our bite-size episode, I highly recommend it. But yeah, like I said, any corpse is Meat if you look at it. I mean,
well, no, but
so
I don't think that's fair to say. Not any corpse is Meat. Any experimented on corpse is Meat, and technically Meat is not a corpse.
Meat is Kotal, and
yeah. So Kotal Khan is confirmed for Mortal Kombat 1 with this scene.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get Meat again. I would love to see Meat again, and I think this would be a clever way to introduce him, because Meat was created in the Flesh Pits anyways. So
yeah, having
the Flesh Pits come back is great. And you know what I find interesting about this level, though, is we have confirmation that Shang Tsung is doing these type of experiments, and as we've gone through in our bite-size episode about the Tarkatans, we have 2 episodes on that. It's possible Shang Tsung has something to do with that. And again, we see this green liquid that's in his gauntlets and things like that. So, I think, again, things are leading back to Shang Tsung is the source of Tarkatan one way or another.
Yep. These experiments and such definitely do possibly indicate that we might have a potential Meat appearance.
You know, I'm not saying we're not getting Meat, but there were scenes in, I think, Mortal Kombat 9. Some dark priests are doing incantations over a meat bag, a corpse, and everybody's like, "Oh, there's Meat's confirmed." And then in Mortal Kombat X, there was the laboratory where the revenants were getting created, and people saw that and they're like, "Oh, look, it's Meat's confirmed for Mortal Kombat X." And we didn't get Meat for 9 or X. This I don't know. I'm not saying we're not going to get Meat. I'm just saying this doesn't say, "Oh, we're getting Meat to me."
No, definitely not. But it is important to also remember all of Ed's tweets that we've been seeing in the lead up to Mortal Kombat 1, and there was a point where he said, where he was doing a true and false, it was a poll with multiple different options, and one of them was Meat is the strongest cameo character or something along those lines.
Yeah, it was is this true or fiction kind of thing? Like you could guess.
Exactly. I think we could potentially be seeing Meat in some fashion, just based on all the little hints we've gotten and such. And I think it would be really cool to bring him back. It's been a while since we've seen Kotal.
Yes. Again, if you guys haven't watched the Kotal Khan as Meat episode, please go back and watch it. Like, it's gonna change the way you
It's
see
such a
Mortal
crazy
Kombat.
theory, and I swear
I love it.
that
It's perfect.
NRS, if anybody there is watching it, make this happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving further into Shang Tsung's experiments, this is a trailer specifically for Nitara. Why are we seeing the flesh pits in Nitara's trailer? Could it just be a coincidence? Could they just want to show off the flesh pits? Or could Nitara and potentially the Veternians be an important factor in Shang Tsung's experiments and potentially in creating Tarkat?
Well, we've seen from the Shang Tsung's lab that he has these skeletons and these drawings on his board, which he basically studies everything. Like I said previously on our last breakdown episode of the Rulers of Outworld, Shang Tsung reminds me a lot of the character from Alien Covenant, where he's basically going through and anything he can experiment on that's alive, he will. Like, he's gone insane and just kind of does whatever he can. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's incorporating the vampire race into his experiments and somehow trying to create a perfect soldier or a perfect creature in his mind, which is what happens with Tarkat. Is his experiments are being leaked out into the real world, and these people are becoming these monstrous warrior race that in Shang Tsung's eyes are the perfect beings.
We have already seen like the effects of Tarkat just purely because of Baraka's involvement in the story here, as well as the other Tarkatans, as I'm still going to continue calling them. In the previous timeline, we've mentioned this on our Tarkat episodes already, but the Tarkatans were a combination of outworld humanoid species as well as Netherrealm demons. So I'm wondering now if this could actually be a combination instead of just outworld humanoids and Netherrealm demons, or also maybe Veternians with Nitara's blood, perhaps. And we do actually see a species in the Banished trailer who we commented on at the time, which could look like Oni. In this fight specifically, we do see another point that I think could also relate to Tarkat in some way, in Nitara's fatal blow.
Would her fingernails grow long?
Yes, she is using her nails, claws, whatever you want to call them, in her fight against Ashra. She's using it to deflect the Datusha strikes, but she also, as we see here, grows them and then shrinks them immediately after to impale Smoke's neck. So I'm wondering if that could be related in some way to the Tarkatans, because Baraka extends claws from his hands, from his wrists, right? So could that potentially be the catalyst in terms of the experimentation process for Tarkatans to have those growing and shrinking blades, perhaps?
In this timeline also, his blades can break off. I think more than being an experiment of a couple different things, I think he has looked around and experimented on every living creature in order to create Tarkat.
Yes. And I still wonder about the reasoning behind it. Why would he do so? I mean, we're even still assuming that he has done this. We could be wrong. But it could also be to take Melina off the throne, right? Maybe he could stand to gain from that. Maybe he stands to gain from putting Shao on the throne. Maybe he's being told to do this by Shao, and once again, Shao and Shang Tsung are technically the reasons for Melina's birth.
What did you do with Jen's body?
Poor Kung Lao. You'll never see her again.
Both of us, our minds automatically went to Mortal Kombat Conquest. So, 25-year spoiler here. The great Kung Lao's girlfriend in Mortal Kombat Conquest, her name was Jen, or what was her full name? Genevieve or Genevieve?
Genevieve Raylan, but she was known as Jen. And that for us tipped us off to this being a Conquest reference.
Oh yeah, that's
Now-
the first thing we thought.
Fun fact about Jen Rayland, her actress who portrayed her was actually also called Jennifer. Her name was Jennifer Renton.
Oh, that's right. So this whole scene, we automatically assumed it was a Mortal Kombat Conquest reference, but then everybody else in the comments who are much more Megan Fox fans than I am pointed out that this is actually in reference to Jen's Body. Is that what the name of the movie is?
Jennifer's Body.
Jennifer's Body. I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna probably watch it tonight just to catch up on it, because the reference is like, I felt like a complete idiot because I know the movie, I just hadn't seen it. So to me, it's cool. It's a double reference in a way, especially because she's facing off with Kung Lao. Like,
Yeah, I think it's both. Everybody's saying no, it's obviously a Jennifer's Body. I think it's both, personally.
oh yeah,
I have not seen the movie either, so I had no idea.
it's
Yeah.
these kind of intro dialogues that I love, where they're kind of playing on the actors that are playing stuff and playing on the lore. Like it's great. So if you guys aren't watching Mortal Kombat Conquest, we highly recommend it, because
Do it.
it's so fun. And it's playing on HBO Max if you live in the States, so you have the opportunity to watch every episode of it right now. Even stick through the episodes that you're not sure about, because the overall story is just fantastic. And we actually had some of the cast and the writer and the producer on the Realm Kast. So again, if you guys
they all
haven't
loved
checked out
it.
those episodes,
They have all,
loved-
like, not a single person who has been involved in that project says a single negative word about Conquest.
Oh, I
honestly.
know. The only thing negative, like, I'm really bummed that it didn't get picked up for the next
Yeah.
season. Yeah.
And it was supposed to. It had such high ratings at the time.
Yeah, so we recommend you guys check out the episodes, check out the series, and if you like it, let everybody know, because it's possible that we could get more episodes. Like, that's not ever off the table with this, especially in current years where things get rebooted all the time.
We've spoken with the producer, Larry Kasanoff. We've spoken with the writer, Sean Catherine Derrick. We've spoken with the actor who played Zero, the greatest Mortal Kombat character, Daniel Bernhardt, and every single one of them said, firstly, I would love to return to this series. Secondly, if you want to see it, tell Warner Bros. You know, and
and we've had other actors too from the show too. They've all said the same thing. Tell Warner
Chris
Brothers.
Casamassa, for example.
Yeah,
Who played Scorpion.
Like
Adoni Maropis, yep.
everybody who's come on the Realm Kast that has been involved in that show says, if you want more, let people know. Post about it on social media. So we're letting you know that you guys can make it happen. That's a quick sidebar there.
Mortal Kombat, it's just one of those staples. It's been around since gaming has been around.
So we see Serena, and actually this is quite cool for me, not just because it's Serena, but because we actually get our first glimpse of Serena in an alternate color.
Oh, yeah. She's wearing a purple color outfit.
And I wonder if Nitara is also wearing a bit of purple, or if that's just her same outfit in the lighting.
Yeah,
That looks purple to me.
It looks brighter also.
This is cool because, firstly, I don't know if this is a new arena or not, because we do actually see another arena in the next scene, and that is the Wuxi Academy, just our first look at it in the evening. And I'm wondering if the arena that we just saw, if that is also the Wuxi Academy in the evening, or if it's the Hanging Gardens, because there's a lot of glowing purple there, and the only arena that we have seen which could potentially look like this, to me, is the Hanging Gardens at night, perhaps.
Yeah, and if you look behind Serena too, you see those big archways and stuff that were part of the Hanging Gardens and basically part of the Edenian architecture.
But it is a beautiful arena, and I can actually see myself using that arena the most. So Nitara's fatality is wow. You know, it kind of reminded me of Sindel's fatality, because somehow Sub-Zero's skeleton flies out of his body. Like, I was talking to a friend about this, and every Mortal Kombat game in the NRS era seems to have, actually, even just in general, I think, they always seem to find a specific thing to focus on. In MK11, it was the eyes. And it looks like in MK1, we have the intestines, as well as entire bones coming out the body without the actual... Like for example, just Sindel pulling somebody's skull and spine out through their body without actually making a hole in their face first, if you get me. I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. And the fact that Nitara is doing this by just holding onto their intestines, you can see that they were choosing to make use of her wings for this fatality. But I wonder, does her fatality potentially give us any indication as to her species of her being a vampire, in the sense that she gets rid of the skeleton so she can feed on the body without the bones? But more importantly than that are the glowing red eyes at the end of the trailer. I don't know if this is just for fun or something, but I have a feeling that that is going to have to do with blood magic itself rather than it being a vampire thing. I could be wrong on things, and I wonder just how far the blood magic addition to her character is going to change, or be how important it's going to be to the plot.
You know, something else too I wondered is how far is blood magic and her vampiristic abilities going to relate to the storyline. Like you said, we saw her sucking on Garrus's blood. Does that mean she gets a different set of abilities, or in the story, is that going to affect the story at all? The fact that she just drank from Garrus, if that is part of the story. You know, there's so much kind of potential with the fact that they have a vampire, and this reimagining of Mortal Kombat, there's a lot of stuff they can do with it, based off of popular entertainment media right now. So we could be seeing a different Nitara than ever before.
Maybe not different powers from drinking Garrus's blood, but perhaps increasing in strength from like what happens if she drinks Liu Kang's blood, of all people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Garrus's blood would be sandy in my opinion, but who knows? So let us know your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think that blood magic might be tweaked a little bit through this new storyline? Do you think that the inclusion of blood magic with Nitara and the omission of Scarlet is something that you're really disappointed about? Let us know in the comments below. Just leave a comment and let us know what you think. And in the meantime, Yanni, where can people find us?
You can connect with us on social media via @Realm Kast, or interact with us on Mortal Kombat Online's Discord channel, which you can find a link to in the description of this video. So, you know, let us know. As Phantom said, leave some comments, have a chat with us, because it's always fun hearing what people think right before the game's coming out, with all the information that we have and all the information that we don't have at the same time.
And lastly, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support is what drives us in our exploration into the Mortal Kombat world. So until our next journey, remember, every warrior has a story and every saga a lesson.